Hello, YouTube. My name is Plazukas, and obviously, most of you have probably heard the news. Trump, the nominee for the Republican president, has been shot. Apparently, he is fine as anybody could be after they've been shot, and there's a lot of stuff going on the internet, a lot of misinformation, as there always is when we have mass shootings or people on any political affiliation talking about and trying to create a narrative. Over the years, I used to believe in regulating the Second Amendment, but I no longer believe that because I think it's all of us individually who decide what we do with the things that we have, including our guns. But yet, here's what you're going to find out is that those same people, conservative people, Second Amendment constitutionalists, will use whatever rhetoric they can to help serve them to elect a president that they endorse, which in this case is Trump. So they're going to say, they're going to spread all this misinformation. They're going to say that Biden's administration didn't allow for all the Secret Service. They're going to say this. And maybe some of it is true. Twitter is literally running rampant with speculation. Clearly, this does not help Biden's case. Clearly, I think Trump is going to win regardless. This almost guarantees it. Biden has to step down. There's no doubt about it, especially with all the information that's going to happen and come out after this. He's going to be accused of everything under the sun, and that somehow he's to blame for this. So we're going to need a new candidate even to have a chance to win the presidency. I think maybe that's why, if he hasn't responded yet, let me just go see if Biden has responded yet over Trump, because that was one of the criticisms. A Biden supporter just pulled out a gun and shot. See, how was the president? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that anybody did anything. It doesn't mean anybody has political leanings or whatever else. It was a lone gunman. We've had this issue in the world since the dawn of man or the woman or whatever, okay? This isn't political. It might be political. The person could have been political. I'm not denying that. But the gun issue and who shot somebody is not the problem. It's the hearts and minds of the people. We have had this vitriolic relationship with the presidential race for a very long time. Even before President Obama, there have been this. And everybody's equally, has a high chance of being shot, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Everybody in the world does, with how violent people are. So I can't believe this happened, and yet I can believe it because of how angry and just uncensored and irresponsible we have all been, right? And so, I mean, it's not good. It obviously is not good. And this is just going to create such a storm that it's going to guarantee. And then at the end, he saw him say, fight, fight, fight. Who knows what kind of, people are going to do anything stupid after this. Just don't. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not what this country is about. We're about civilly protesting nonviolently. We're about trying our hardest to fix or speak to the hearts and minds of the people. That's what the United States has always been about. And we've lost that. We've lost that in spades. We've become angry. We've become bitter. We've become violent. And we're all the other things too. We're all the good things as well. But that's lost. Because on both sides, there have been so many issues and so many problems. And people don't want to speak on policy. They just want to speak on propaganda. They want to speak on rhetoric. And we have to have policy. We have to have policy in this country. Whether you believe in regulation or deregulation, we have to know that. Project 25, we have to know that. If that's your policy, we need to know that. and not hide behind it and then someday have it happen when you didn't want to speak about it. Okay? Or if you're going to say on the other end, the Green New Deal, where all this energy is being basically renewable and you can't have coal and you can't have all other forms of fossil fuels. Like, we need to know that. That needs to be said. Immigration, all these things, policy, not vitriolic statements, not anger for anger's sake, because all this does is leads to people, one person, making a decision to do this. How do they get to that point? How are they even allowed near the protest? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I've heard cases where, Trump has allowed or did not deny weapons being in the rallies. Obviously, Secret Service declined, and they make sure that they screen everybody. And I don't think anybody's ever been allowed to be in the rally. And it looks like this person wasn't. He was perched outside there. There's a gentleman that said basically they reported him and then nobody did anything. Again, there's going to be a lot of that, and maybe some of it is true. Maybe they didn't act. But this is no different than all the other reports of the FBI not reacting to the reports of the mass shooters that happened previously. This is all that same fucking thing. You didn't ask for any of these things to happen then. You shouldn't ask for those things to happen now. And listen, admittedly, I was someone who just said regulate everything. Regulate the Second Amendment. I was wrong. Because it's not about that. It's about all of us. It's about the hearts and minds of all of us. And I think we're lost. America has been lost for a very long time. And like I said, I think Trump is going to win regardless, because they didn't want to elect somebody that had the vibrancy, that had the intellect, that had the wherewithal to compete with someone like Trump, who still had the energy. He was still, for the most part, who he was as a person, Trump. And now there's no choice. Biden has to get out of the race, in my opinion. There's no way he stays in. It's just not going to happen. They can put on their best damn hat they want. We have for 5 months until November. It's not going to happen. We need something else. We need a better option. And not to mention, now everybody's going to blame Biden for this. They're going to say it was Biden's fault. It's just not. And then not to mention, he looks old. He's declining. All of these things, I've already been something that has been played into this. And so now, what are we left with, right? What are we left with? Well, we're left with the fact that Biden needs to step down. And still, Trump will probably win. But it's not about the Second Amendment. It's about every individual person doing the right thing for the right people. And they haven't. And they still don't with all this stuff. And this is going to continue. Misinformation is going to be spread. Elon Musk, obviously, I think he's already endorsed Donald Trump, but there's going to be all these people coming out for support of him. And he said, fight, fight, fight at the very end. Like, it's just going to be continuously played. Hopefully it doesn't cause any more violence. Hopefully it doesn't. I just had to make this video just to make sure that I said something as an American as well, because I think the narrative is going to get way out of hand really quick.